When I was in the 6th grade, I had two goals in life: to get into my school's art club and to beat Donkey Kong 64. That second goal was easy, but getting into the art club proved to be a challenge. I had to get into that club because I'd always been known as the art girl growing up. Unfortunately for my 11-year-old self, Mrs. Carroll was in charge of recommending underclassmen into the club. Mrs. Carroll was a staple in the community. She had been an art teacher at the same middle school for probably decades. I'm sure that at some point she was a bright-eyed, idealistic teacher eager to shape young minds, but by the time I got Mrs. Carroll, she had been reduced to constantly complaining about her cats. I still remember her venting to us about how annoyed she was that Nelson got into the dryer again. By the end of the year, I felt like I personally knew Nelson. The only thing that annoyed Mrs. Carroll more than her cats were her students. Praise was rare and had to be seriously earned from her. As the people pleaser that I used to be, my time in her class was spent trying to get approval with little to no avail. See, she favored painting, but I struggled with using tempera paints properly in her class. Growing up, she didn't really let me paint at home or do anything messy or go outside much now that I think of it, so I simply didn't get the practice I needed to master painting. And no mastery of painting would mean no art club for me. I'd try, but I could not get the hang of how much water to use and how to control the brush at the time. Maybe art's really not my thing, I remember telling a classmate. Maybe I should stop. I can't even get into art homeroom. As the year wound down and schedules needed to be made, I decided that I was just going to go for it and show Mrs. Carroll my personal sketchbook. This was a risky thing, as I highly doubted that my pencil drawings of battling Gen 1 Pokemon would impress her. And yet they did. To my complete shock, old and jaded Mrs. Carroll loved my stack of original drawings. I still remember her words to me. "You have a good eye for design," she had said, and then she even laughed. "Your drawing style is so fluid and full of personality. I can't believe that these are from the same girl who couldn't hold a brush properly." Which I still can't, by the way. So when all was said and done and got into the art club and I stayed there for 7th and 8th grade, I'd move on to majoring in art in college and winning some awards for my art. Just goes to show that being yourself can work out in the end.